my God, you'll be able to hear.
All right, I think we are live. So, welcome to Office Hours with Arrow, a LinkedIn Live event hosted by Arrow leaders who care about what senior living looks like. I'm your host and producer, Rachel Sheehan, and our topic today is all about catching feelings with our special guests. Amanda is back, and Michael Buckley's with us today.
Hello, everyone. I'm Amanda Tweeten. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at Arrow Senior Living. With me is one of my most favorite people to work with. He is our personal and professional development coach at Arrow, Michael Buckley, aka our Chief Feelings Officer. Michael Buckley, how are you today?
I'm living the dream. I'm 10 out of 10. I'm so happy. I mean, anytime that we get to talk about all the great work we're doing together at Arrow, I'm just so excited. So thank you for having me as a guest.
Well, you're very welcome. One of the things that we do to kick off this conversation is to talk a little bit about how we first got into senior living. I was here last week, so I kind of told my story last week, but I've been working in senior living since 2007. My history is actually in newspaper and communication. And so you might be thinking, how does somebody who works in newspaper transition to senior living? I don't know. Maybe we'll figure that out one day. But Buck, how did you first get introduced to senior living?
Well, I'm so lucky because back in 2018, Amanda Tweeten reached out to me because I had launched a coaching business, and Amanda said, hey, I'd like some coaching. And so I worked with Amanda. And then I think she very casually said to me, hey, I run this company and I would love for you to maybe do some coaching. And it was so funny. I always tell this story at my onboarding because I remember just in January or February of 2018, getting on a group call. I knew nothing about senior living. And so that was it. And it was funny because I remember you giving me a little insight, but I swear it took me about 6 months to a year before I actually understood. And I'm very comfortable now telling people that, yes, I know back in 2019 at some point was when I realized the difference between a memory care director and a wellness director and a senior living director and all the different things that senior living, IL and AL and memory care and all the things. And so I had no knowledge of senior living. And now this is my 6th or 7th year and I have much more knowledge, and I am wildly in love with the field, mostly because I've inherited much of your and Stephanie's vision for what you want senior living to be. And I feel so lucky that I get to be a small part of that with you.
Well, and for those who are watching or tuning in, Buck is being extremely modest. He is not a small part of what we do. He's actually a very significant part of what we do from day to day. And so I wanted to talk, and that's part of the reason we picked this topic for today's conversation, was because I wanted to talk a little bit about what you do for our organization and the benefits of that, because I think if I am talking to leaders out in our industry, one of the things that I think could be so beneficial and helpful for our industry is to do more work like what you do. So do you want to talk a little bit about what you do with us?
Yes, thank you. So yeah, most of my day is full with one-on-one coaching. So I work with all the C-level officers, with most of the regional team. I work with all the executive directors and many department heads. And I am there to coach, to lead, to mentor, to inspire, to really be, I always jokingly say, if it's an HR problem, racism, sexism, homophobia, go to HR. But if you're just not getting along with somebody, please let me help you with that. So I do a lot of work with setting goals. I do a lot of work with helping solve human dynamic things. And I always say, it's funny because we do Arrow Leadership Academy together, Amanda and I. That is another one of the biggest things that we've done is we started something back in the summer of 2020 called Arrow Leadership Academy, where every month Amanda and I get together and we pick a leadership or development topic and we record it and we send it out in the Relias training so all the line staff can watch it. And then during the month, Amanda and I really hit that topic with the department heads, with the executive directors, and with the home office. And it really is, I always think, especially at work, like most of the problems are really life management skills or time management skills. And so we spend a lot of time giving skills and coaching tools to make your life easier and your work day just so much more fun, intentional, productive, connecting. And, when we talk about emotional intelligence, and we talk a lot about it, I feel so lucky. And when I tell people what I do for a living, they're like, you're part of this company and that's what you do. And I'm like, yes. And they're like, I wish my company did that. I'm like, right. And so I think the thing about emotional intelligence is we teach you math and science. We don't teach you emotional intelligence. We expect you to come to work and have skills and knowledge, but most people lack the skills to manage their emotions during challenging situations. And you see that every day in yourself and with your colleagues. And so we're doing this because, and I always say this when people come to coaching, I'm like, this is the most important part of your day. Like, I don't mean that lightly. Like the way you set yourself up for success and you are managing your thoughts and feelings. Otherwise, you're kind of screwed because you're just waiting for the outcome to feel better. You're waiting for the other person on the team to work as hard as you are to suddenly start working hard. And again, the number one thing we talk about in Arrow Leadership Manifesto is I am 100% responsible for how I show up at work. And I always say, if we all believe that, we're great. We're great, because I'm not waiting to see how Amanda shows up to this. I'm not waiting to see how Rachel shows up. I showed up. I'm all in. I am going to give you the highest and best version of myself, no matter what else happens on this call. And I feel like I just said a lot. But that, again, with the way I show up to this call is the way I show up to work, which is all in, engaged, unconditionally loving and supportive. And I want great things for this call. That's what I always say to the teams. I can't want it for you. Arrow has these big goals and big ideals. We need all of you to want that with us. You are the reason that we exist as an organization, so we can live in line with our purpose. We want to make senior living better. And that's what we talk about a lot too, is how do we get that? And hopefully the things we're doing in Arrow Leadership Academy and in the one-on-one coaching that we're doing is really inspiring, igniting people to really see the potential in themselves, but also in the organization Arrow, but also in the field of senior living. So that's the other thing. I think we exist in service of all that bigger stuff. And I think a lot of organizations think that way, but they don't tell everybody that. And I think we're really good at reminding people our why. Why are we here? Why do we exist? And so now I'm just going on and on, but I just love it so much.
Well, I think it's funny. Like Rachel and I are both like, yes. Yes.
I would say, Buck.
Yeah, I would say, and I do think for the most part, the majority of our leaders, I was looking at some of the chat that's coming through. A lot of our leaders, I think it's interesting because when we very first started this, there was some resistance to working with a personal and professional development coach. Like, I don't need to talk to Buck. I don't want to talk to Buck.
Those are my favorite people too. They actually get the most out of coaching ultimately because they show up a little. And I always say this too on my onboarding, especially like my first year and a half, 2 years, I would get a culinary director or a plant ops director, and they would just hop on the screen and look at me. And they'd be like, I could just see they were like, what did I do? And I'm like, oh, you think you're in trouble. This has not been explained well to you. Like, honestly, if you are set up to work with me, it means Arrow believes in you and just wants you to have access to someone to be part of your support team. And so I love the people who don't think they need coaching, the people who don't want coaching, or the people who, I don't know, like there's some of my best success stories too, because I see them in a month and it's like, oh, my life has changed. And you're like, oh my God, it's only been a month too. I love that.
Well, and I think about it, one of our core values, our very first core value is that acts of kindness can drive change in the world, which I'm wearing my Be Kind sweatshirt today. But one of the things when I'm doing my onboarding, I say that, of course, this speaks to the whole concept of paying it forward, but there's another layer to be kind, and that is to be kind to yourself. And so our general philosophy is, I'm going to take care of me for you, and you need to take care of you for me. And that's why having someone like Buck is so important, because it gives you a tool or a resource to really like challenge yourself, because at the crux of what you teach, like thoughts impact feelings, which impact actions. And do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. And I mean, that just to go back to what you said too, is like when I'm doing the coaching sessions, I always say, you know, I'm here for you. I care about you more as a person than as a worker. Because again, even if you work here for a day or a year, I want you to enjoy this. And this is for you. And so I want you to get as much out of this as possible. And to what you just said too, is most people who sign up for senior living are gigantically hearted and they effortlessly pour into others, and that these are the people who are so depleted. And so when people come to coaching and we talk about self-care, we talk about self-appreciation, we talk about loving ourselves and approving of ourselves unconditionally and not negotiating our worthiness, because again, there's people who are listening right now who are 40 years old, who are 60 years old, who they wake up every day and they are still negotiating their worthiness, or they're waiting to lose weight or make more money or have full occupancy to feel better about themselves. And I always look at them and I say, you're going about this the wrong way. And so I think a lot of it, and that's the other thing about the self-love piece that sounds so mushy. And I know this is LinkedIn and we're on a work call, but let me tell you, if you do not actively like and love and approve of yourself on a daily basis, you are screwed. It will actively impact the way you lead your team, the way you talk to your team, and most importantly, the way you talk to yourself. So what Amanda was also saying is right. I do teach a lot of based on cognitive behavioral techniques, which are our thoughts create our feelings, create our actions, create our results. So if I'm constantly thinking negative thoughts, I'm generally getting negative feelings, negative actions, and negative results. And then most people in America are obsessed with actions and tasks. So they get to work and they're just focused on tasks and habits, and other people's behaviors, like, oh, well. And so I encourage everybody to start with you. When people come to coaching, I always say to them, I am the problem and I'm the solution, because if Amanda's my problem, I'm screwed. If Rachel's my problem, I'm screwed. I can always work on me. And then guess what? By the time I've done all the great work on me, I'm fine with Amanda. And if I'm not, I know how to make a thoughtful request to Amanda. And that's another thing we work on a lot, is our communication, which again, no one teaches us that. So we work on making a request versus making a demand, and work on separating our logistics from our emotions. That's another thing. Most people are logistical problems. Staffing, I don't need to attach an emotional consequence. And when I say that to people, you just see their face like, but I've spent my whole life doing that. And so it is nice to kind of just get people in coaching and just learn to gently rewire how they think about the world, how they feel about themselves, and how they interact with other people. So that's a lot of the work we do too. And again, when one person is doing it, the organization benefits. When everybody's doing it, it's amazing to see how, like, especially at the community level, like I see the difference at a community where a lot of the department heads have worked with me, and it's like, they got it. Like, they're all like in it. They're all good teammates. They're all considerate colleagues. They do have high social awareness. And so when we actively work on these things as skills, it just makes work, like I said, just easier and more fun, and ultimately more satisfying and fulfilling. And if we're going to spend 8 to 12 hours a day at work and it's not fun or fulfilling, we need to be working on that way more than we are. General other companies are not working on that as much as Arrow. Arrow is deeply invested in wanting you to have work-life balance, wanting you to have fun. We'll be on Leadership Academy with the department heads. And if someone says something, Amanda, as the chief operating officer, will come off mute and say, I don't want anybody to feel that way. And I don't want anybody to think that way. And I really want you to know we support you. And if it seems like it's an unrealistic expectation, say something. Let us know. Let us be better with you and for you. So I don't know of many organizations where the chief operating officer goes in front of everybody and is constantly just saying, we want to be better with or for you. And Amanda is also wonderful at being vulnerable and saying, hey guys, I'm working on this too. So that's the other thing. Like, I'm not sitting here like, hey guys, I figured it all out. Just listen to me. I'm sitting here telling you, I'm working on this all day, every day. I'm always working on my self-regulation. I am always working on my self-mastery. I am always working on having amazing relationships with everybody on my team. So that's
well, you think about it, like if you're somebody in the industry that's like looking at your company and like, why would I choose to invest in this, or why would I make the time or space for this? I do think that we have seen a positive benefit from turnover in our leadership. Or if because there are some people who are just not going to, they're just not going to buy into your culture. They're just not going to be they're just not going to be your people. And I think this kind of work also makes it easier to transition someone out of the organization in the best possible, most positive way that you could do it, wishing them success and you success, and then kind of working through that. And Rachel, I want to invite you to share any of the thoughts that you've had as you've kind of experienced working with Buck or others working with Buck. But I was going to speak to, if one of our other core values is transparency builds trust, and we talk a lot about having necessary conversations. A lot of people, it's interesting, early on in this experience, and sometimes even now, there were so many people that were worried about getting in trouble. They didn't want to get in trouble. They were afraid to like speak up or say what they thought. And that's like a constant daily battle to make people feel confident that they can say what they think without getting a negative response from that. And one of the things, Buck, you teach is that feedback you give, or feedback is an indication of care. And honestly, as a leader, hearing what people say, this is like one of my weak spots, because I used to say that I'm really good at bristling. Like somebody gives their feedback and I so desperately want to hear it, but it doesn't feel great sometimes to hear that the thing that you were passionate about, or the thing that you cared about or wanted to have done, people didn't enjoy, and in fact might have hated it. And so like, how do you not bristle to that reaction? And so one of the things we talked about was bristle and breathe. And then I like constantly have to remind myself that like, this person trusted me enough to tell me what they thought. And so I really do need to take that and look at it as a trust building moment, instead of we hate Amanda, we hate Amanda's ideas, Amanda's the worst. So that's something.
I want to give one of my favorite feedback examples, because two of the sentences that we teach are, I give feedback as an indication of care. I take feedback as information. And again, I'm almost 50 years old, so I take all feedback as information. So we can get off this call and Rachel can text me after and say, that was dumb, that was terrible, we didn't want that at all. And I would just write back, thank you for being comfortable letting me know, I'm going to do better next time. What? Because why would I fall apart emotionally? Why would I be irritated? And again, she's not going to text me, but I love to give the example of, I'm the captain of my football team. So I'm at a tournament with a football team. And 2 years ago, I'm at a tournament and this gentleman looks at me on day 2 and says, Buck, you're being very condescending with me. And I noticed it yesterday. 10 years ago, I would have said, give me an example. What do you mean I'm being condescending? Tell me, Brandon, tell me how I'm being condescending so I don't do it again. That's me 10 years ago. 5 years ago, I would have said, oh my God, Brandon, I'm being funny and you're taking me the wrong way. Whatever. Like I would have brushed it off. This version of me gave him a hug and I said, I'm horrified. You won't have to tell me that again. Thank you for being comfortable letting me know. Which is such a better thing to say than, oh, give me an example, or you're taking me the wrong way. So that's just one example of how someone on your team is going to say, you're being this, and you can just say, okay, because that is their thoughts about me. That is their opinion about me. And I always think the other thing about feedback is it's true and I'll work on it, or it's just someone's opinion of me and it's useful for me to know that is their perception. But if you can get really good at taking feedback in the workplace and really good at giving constructive, beautiful, thoughtful, specific feedback that just changes everything too. So we do work on feedback a lot in Arrow Leadership Academy. So yes.
Guys, I'm having to mute and unmute because what is currently happening right now is there is a leaf blower hanging out in our courtyard. And, I could have panicked, but I'm working on my reaction to it. But Rachel, what about you? Any thoughts that you wanted to add?
Yes, I'll be honest, and Buck probably knows, but when I started, I was one of those people who was probably like, I don't need to, like, why do I need another meeting, but he knows we've always worked on, like, I take things very personal. I take things very emotionally. And so working on, it's not about me. It's not personal. If this person knew you were so upset by this, they would be distraught. And knowing, like, it's not intentional. It's not, I don't know, like I said, personal. And I just feel like that's been a big growth for me. So thank you, Buck. And I don't know if you can see all these comments, but
yeah, I love Lisa's here. Lisa, I remember working with Lisa years ago, and Rob Bequette and Elizabeth. And thank you, Julie Sabo. Thank you, everybody. Cassie Tweeten. And yes, Mark Stapleton. Christy Maslam sends the EDs to me right away. And yes, I love that. I love getting the EDs right away so I can, set the tone. And what Amanda?
Well, no, I was going to say it's a requirement as an executive director in our company to work with Buck. And I think that if an executive director, like for an extended period of time, is like, I don't need to work with Buck, like that to me is like a flag right there that this person is not going to make it in our culture, because there is an element of like not being open to the self-work that I really think you have to do in order to be a good support person for someone else. So like, I want your department head team to feel like you are going to hear them. You're going to work, like you're constantly working on you, because then, because you want them to do the same back, and I think the communities that have gotten their entire department head team working with you, like they just sing, they thrive. And so
and our most successful EDs currently have worked with me long term. And the ones who don't think they need to work with me, I always just say, great, well, then you're doing this for how you lead and inspire your team. And you're taking the topic from Arrow Leadership Academy this month, which might be emotional intelligence or how to have a necessary conversation or getting feedback 1 through 10. And you're bringing that to your stand-up and you're doing it. So thank you for being me on behalf of the community. And that's what I also say to the EDs. Anyway, you are me. You're the coach. You're the person who's inspiring people. You're asking better questions. Like that's the other thing too. We work on asking better questions, because I'll hear a question and I'll think that is going to shut your team down. So I'm glad you said it in front of me. So again, that's what it's good to come to coaching and just thought download to me. So then when you go out to the field, you've actually kind of worked through some of those things. And that's the thing. Most people miss it. And I'm sitting, like, I'll listen to someone the other day and they said the same sentence 4 times about different things. And again, if I'm the boss, I have to be a little more empathetic, a little bit more, oh, tell me more about that. But because I'm the coach, I take off my glasses and I say, you've said the same thing 4 times. And let me tell you, that one thought is going to trip you up for the rest of your day. So again, your self-awareness would not catch that thought about that person and that situation and that what they think. And now I'm letting you know, if you keep thinking that thought, you are derailing yourself for the rest of the day. So I do think there's value in just coming to coaching for thought downloading and just, cleaning up your brain before you go in front of your team,
So, Buck, you've mentioned Arrow Leadership Academy a couple times, and some of the people watching may not be Arrow team members. So do you want to explain what we do or what you do during ALA?
Yeah, so Arrow Leadership Academy, since it's been June of 2020, and so it's 4 layers. We do a recording. Amanda and I pick a topic every month, and we record.
This week this month was habits.
Yes, this month was high performance habits. And spoiler alert, Monday it's gonna be conflict management strategies. And so we're gonna be talking about that, which again is wonderful. Amanda's like, well, you didn't tell me yet, but that's a great
topic. No, I'm just thinking, like, even this month, the things that we're working on are still things about like one of the things that we talked about with the healthy habit is setting intention. And in my brain, I know that if I set the intention for the meeting or for this call, like that the outcome will be different. However, it's not something that is top of mind for me. I don't always set intention when I go into my day or into my meetings. And so like working on the creating the muscle or the habit to actively do that and how it impacts your day. Like, again, we're all working on this in real time too. So
yes. And I said it like before we got on this stream, I looked at Rachel and Amanda and I said, what's our intention? Because I want to have a clear intention. And then when I get off this, I'm going to walk around the desk and I'm going to look at my calendar and I'm going to set an intention. And when I show up to Arrow Leadership Academy, I always say something like, my intention is you leave this call refreshed and excited for your workday with a sense of optimism that no matter what is happening, you are developing the skills and the life management tools to handle anything in a way that is not overwhelming or frenzied or depleting. So that's the other thing too. When people are not coaching themselves, they're just very haphazardly responding to the day. We are asking everybody to coach yourself, to manage yourself, to regulate yourself. Otherwise, you are just overwhelmed and frenzied and depleted. Oh, and you're having a good day if things go your way, which again, as a grown-up, you're screwed. So I'm having a good day because I woke up at 7 a.m. this morning and I decided to have a good day. That's going to be very annoying to some people watching. But again, I am at that point in my life when, again, I'm just happy to be alive. Like, this is just, everything I'm doing is just fun. Everything I'm doing is just adding value to the world. And I do, like we said earlier, I know what Arrow exists for. I see the big picture. I see myself as part of that. And God, that's fun. And I want that for everybody. I want every memory care director, every support partner, every care coordinator, every plan ops assistant to come to work with that same sense of, God, I'm here not just to do stuff. I'm here because I have great meaning, great engagement, and I'm part of something way bigger than my current role and tasks.
Which, to kind of wrap up the Leadership Academy, I do like
I did not answer the question at all.
You did, but to explain again for those out in the industry who are thinking maybe this is something I should consider. I mean, we did build in layers to this because I do think line staff, getting line staff excited to do Relias training, like they don't want to spend time doing the Relias training pieces. They want to come to work. They want to get their stuff done. Hopefully they want to have a good day and have a good impact, and then they want to go home. But if we can layer in even just a foundational piece to make them aware of what their leaders are working on, and I do think that those line staff individuals who respond well to Arrow Leadership Academy or engage with it is also an indication of future leaders within our organization that are interested in growth, that are interested in development. And so it creates a foundation of, one, being transparent with our team about like our weaknesses, our vulnerabilities, what we want to work on, what we want to grow with, what we're currently doing with the work. It reinforces the fact that we are a company that believes in these things. And if you are seeing leaders within your community that don't reflect that, I mean, here is our way to directly communicate about what we hope we show up like. Again, it engages line staff, and those who do engage with it, it shows us future leaders. I think for our department head staff who really struggle, and I wouldn't say they struggle, but they're in one of the toughest spots. EDs and department heads are in the toughest spots because if you're a department head, you not only have to respond and manage to the things that are happening with your line staff team, you are also then having to respond and manage the things that are happening with your executive director, and you're right there in the middle. And so how do you balance the needs and wants of these two different masters, if you will? And I think the EDs find themselves in the same place. You've got your community and family resident needs, and then you've got the needs of the home office and like what they want to drive forward. And so to put that kind of, to put people in that spot where they have all of this going on, it's really important to take the time to be like, let's build you, let's give you energy, let's give you resources so that you can engage this way. So I don't know. I think it's working.
What?
I think it's working. I don't know.
Of course it's working. That's why we're here. But also, right, but the Relias training empowers the line staff to, if we're working on emotional intelligence and we don't see that, we let our department head know. If we're going to work on mastering conflict next month and we're having a conflict, we are giving them vocabulary and tools to bring. And, you know, one of the habits we talked about is developing influence. And I said, I don't care what your title is, you can be the most influential person in your community by how you model self-management and self-mastery. And so we do see, I did a contest in November of last year, and I I gave money to line staff who entered, and I got so many beautiful emails from people I don't know. I don't work with one-on-one. They wrote to me about a leader they admire. They wrote to me about a leader they would want to be. Some of them did PowerPoint presentations, and a lot of them just said, I love Arrow Leadership Academy. I listened to it 3 times and it helps me. And so even though, and that's the thing too, like I'm doing the long-term stuff. Like I'm thinking of Arrow 2030. So again, I'm not lost in the weeds of, oh, it doesn't always work. It's working enough to keep me I've never been so engaged in all of the personal improvement work that I'm doing with myself and I'm doing with Arrow. And I hope that is contagious at every level of the organization.
Man, I think that's a good way to wrap this one up.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time. I did want to just tell everybody next week we have a couple more special guests, Candace and Sarah. We're going to be talking about a couple new HR laws that have come out. And so
a new law dropped all about overtime and salaried employees and non-compete. And Sarah is our general counsel, and Candace is our VP of Human Resources. She is also a general counsel. And so we're going to have these 2 bright, intelligent lawyer women talking. Candace has already devoured everything that's come out about these new laws. And so she's going to be talking about it. So if you are, again, in the industry and you're like, oh, I didn't even think that I should be paying attention to that, don't worry. Tune in next week. Candace and Sarah will help you talk through that. So,
and thank you for the nice comments in the chat, Candace and Mark and Cassie and Elizabeth and Shailene and everybody. Appreciate you guys. Love being on your team.
All right. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.